Poker is an unforgiving game.
When I start to feel the pressure, just hope to play well and do not misplay anything.
Deep in a tournament, there is no margin for error.
I'm just gonna control what I can control, so the goal is to make the next decision my best decision.
It's been more getting into the right mindset and being able to brush off my mistakes.
16 remain in the PCA main event, and the stakes are higher than ever.
I think the biggest thing is just being consistent, staying composed.
Just like any time being in like the pressure cooker and like having big money on the line, it's exciting.
For only the fearless and the flawless have a shot at poker glory.
David beat Goliath. Gale and Hall will lift the trophy.
It's a heart, and that means it's over. Watson wins the Bahamas.
Dominic Panker has done it.
Really sick start to this kid's career.
Bang, 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 bang. Maria Lampropoulou is the PCA champion. Elke wins the main event. Another year, another trophy.
Call him Mr. PCA.
DeBella calls and that's it. He will take the PCA title.
The PCA is back.
Hello once again, welcome to the Bahamas and the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure 2023. This is day 5, the penultimate day of the PCA main event. We edge closer to awarding that huge $1.5 million first prize as we're now down to the final 16, the business stage of this 10K buy-in tournament. Hello everyone, it's James Hartigan alongside Joe Stapleton.
Hello, my babies.
And Sam Grafton.
Hey guys.
52nd place finisher in the PCA main event. Sam, how was it for you?
Just 50 places off the $1 million score. Yeah, absolutely great fun. I enjoyed myself. There's a sort of holiday atmosphere here at PCA. It's serious poker, but in shorts and sandals.
Well, as the remaining players start to make their way back into the tournament room, let's recap, shall we, how we got to this point in the tournament, how we got down to the final 2 tables. Soon after the redraw at 24, Michel Datani took the chip lead.
All in.
In a 3-way cooler. His aces too much for Ramon Calillas.
Hola, guys.
And Elias Gutierrez.
Congratulations.
And they weren't the only big names to fall. The 2005 EPT Copenhagen champ Noah Buchan and 2020 W Coupe main event winner Andre Marques were both sent to the rail.
Love you guys.
The last remaining EPT champion, Artem Martirosyan, closed out proceedings by eliminating Evan Sparling in 17th place.
Nice playing with you.
That left us with 2 tables as we return to the start of day 5. Well, despite all of the players we have lost, there is still a lot of talent in the final 16. Let's check out who is still in and how many chips they have. Starting with the bottom end of the leaderboard, no super short stacks. Pedro Neves still playing 26 big blinds. Taylor Bohr and Jonathan Little hovering around the 40 big blind mark. At the top end of the leaderboard, Artem Martirosyan is the last remaining former EPT champ, and as we established, Michel Datani leads the field with a 96 big blind stack. Sam, let's talk about the remaining players. This seems to me a very talented field. Did it feel like that? Did it feel like a tough field when you were playing?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, there's a mix of pros and amateurs, but a lot of big names did seem to make it to the later stages of this tournament, and that continues right now with, as you say, someone like Arta, so talented and on the feature table.
Now, tons and tons of Americans in this event. You're a European poker expert. Lots of Americans that we're not necessarily familiar with. How much of an unknown quantity are Americans like Chris Chick?
Yeah, exactly. There used to be a bit of a mythology that the American pros were a little bit weaker than us European pros, but I think that myth's being dispelled, and this is certainly a very talented poker player. Seems very comfortable at the table and seems to know what's going on. He'll certainly be a force.
Well, we spoke to Chris Chick at the end of play last night and asked him about his PCA journey so far.
Honestly, this has been such a tough tournament. You know, on day 2, I'm at a table with Jason Mercier and Ryan Reese, and they were talking about how tough the field is. So if you got these 2 guys talking about how tough the field is, then you know it's pretty tough. This is my first time ever here, first tournament I played, and it just feels amazing to be in this position. I'm just going to play my game. Hopefully the cards fall my way, and it all works out for me. Obviously, playing with these guys has been great, and, it's just been a fun tournament. I'm just enjoying myself, so I feel good about it. I feel great.
You gotta love the honesty. I am not used to hearing any humility whatsoever from poker players. I'm a fan.
Now we're down to 16 players, of course. Everyone can be on a feature table because we've got 2 of them. Chip leader Michel Detani will be headlining our secondary feature table today, along with players like Taylor Bohr and Alan Mello, a very talented Brazilian who has a lot of support from Latin America right now. Well, if the chip leader is over there, everyone else who's in the top 5 is going to be up on the main stage, including Chris Chick and Artur Martirosyan. Other notable names at this table include Alex Colonius, Jonathan Little, and Sergey Reitzak. Again, someone else we should not be discounting, Sam.
Absolutely. Alex, Sergey, Artur, these are very, very strong online and live players. It's whoever wins this tournament is going to be a very, very worthy champion overcoming this field.
Well, thank you for your insight, Sam. We'll let you enjoy the beach. Time for us to get day 5 underway as we play down to the PCA 2023 final table. Blinds, 15,000, 30,000 with a 30,000 big blind ante. And the action at the feature table will start with Artur Martirosyan.
Artur Martyr, maybe not the best nickname.
He folds. Jonathan Little is out. Sergey Reitzak not going to play this one. Ace Queen suited for Chris Chick. And he raises to 65,000. Giuseppe Yadasernia has folded. Jamil Wakil is on the button. He's out. Mitchell Halverson gives up the small blind. Alex Colonius in the big blind has jacks.
Buckle up, buckaroos.
40.
That is a 3-bet to just shy of $250,000.
Colonius, a very talented player, goes online by Mexican 222.
Are we going to be off to the races?
No.
Chris Chick folds Ace Queen in that spot.
Ace Queen suited is going to be behind sometimes there.
Colonius chips up to 980K. And I don't think Chris Chick is convinced that was a good fold.
Chris Chicklet.
We're heading over to the secondary table where action's on Alex Raymond in the hijack with Ace King. It's been raised by Pedro Neves with Queen 10.
Yeah, everybody loves Ace King.
Raymond re-raises to 155,000. Folded around to the blinds.
How much did you start today with? Roughly?
1.5, roughly. 1.475.
Michel Detani with kings in the big blind.
The King Kongs, the Clangers, the Kookaroos, the Cacaos.
That is a cold 4-bet to 375,000. Gets a fold from Neves.
Ace Queen suited as a fold sometimes. Ace King suited almost never.
All in.
Alex Raymond shoves. And gets called by the chip leader. Detani a 2-1 favorite here. The flop. 7-6-4. There is now an 80% chance we lose Alex Raymond. He is drawing to 3 outs. And he drills it on the turn.
He knows the ace hit, right? These cats are cold-blooded.
Detani drawing to the case king. Doesn't spike a 1-outer. So Alex Raymond doubles up and takes the chip lead, playing more than 2.8 million. Meanwhile, Detani will drop down to 7th place on the leaderboard.
1.3, 50.
Well, that hand could have significant impact on both players' expected value. Meanwhile, back at the main feature table, it's blind v blind. Sergey Reitzak versus Chris Chick. And Reitzak has hit the flop hard.
How in the world? This is why we can't have nice things.
Right sack checks.
He is out of position.
Chris Chick with ace high bets the minimum 30,000.
Sergey is actually coming off the back of some health issues that have put him out of action for the last 6 months.
Yeah, apparently it'll be up to a year before he's fully recovered. He calls with trip nines. Turn card is the 7 of clubs, so Chris Chick picks up a flush draw.
I don't think the 8 high flush draw is going to get into too much trouble here, but what do I know? I eat the heads off fish.
Right sack has checked a second time. Chick checks it back. And Barry Greenstein makes an appearance. That ace on the river gives Chick top pair, but it's not good enough.
Ooh, I forgot about the ace high ace draw.
Right sack bets 125K, half pot for value.
There's an argument for folding here, but it's not a very strong one. Sergey would be betting some worse hands here occasionally.
Chick pays him off. Right sack adds 215K to his stack.
This pot reminds me of my favorite TV show, The Shield. Chickless.
Right sack, now above average, playing 1.73 million. Well, we're going to check back in with the current chip leader, Alex Raymond. At the other table, he has gone to the flop against Maurizio Pais. Aces versus nines.
How much do you think you started the day with?
I don't know.
That's fantastic, and I believe him.
You don't know?
I don't know how many I bagged yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Reasonable.
Some whites, some greens, some blues.
With the action check to him, Pais bets 65K.
Can I see your stack at least? Yeah?
That's all right. Ain't nobody folding aces yet.
Well.
We go to the turn. Which is the 8 of diamonds. Raymond now a 77% favorite. Pais still has the straight draw to go with his pair. Check, check. King on the river. The board bricks out for Pais.
Turn and river, both pretty good cards for pocket aces.
300K. That is a near pot-size bet from Raymond.
This could get called, though.
It does get called.
Do you know how many chips you have now? Less.
What an incredible start to the day for Alex Raymond. Increasing his chip lead in the PCA main event. Welcome back to the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure main event, where it's been quite the start of the day for Canadian pro Alex Raymond. He was on the brink of elimination, but a single card propelled him into the chip lead.
That goes to show how it's a crazy game.
All in?
Because I could go and end up winning this, but if it weren't for that ace, I'd be out of the tournament and nobody would be talking about me.
And then he increased his chip lead, getting the better of Maurizio Pais.
Raymond running hot.
Maurizio Pais, not so much. After losing that big pot to Alex Raymond, he has just been eliminated in 16th place. No doubt regretting making that hero call with nines. Meanwhile, three-way action at the secondary feature table. Pairs for Raymond and Mello and a couple of backdoor draws for Taylor Poor. Raymond checks, Mello checks.
T-U-R-T-L-E, Poor.
He was the pre-flop aggressor and he continues for 55,000. Raymond calls.
Overcalling here with a pair of sixes on a pretty dry board would be not highly recommended. I mean, it's great. Really great.
Mello does call as well, and we are going three-way to the turn, which is the 10 of spades. Two pair for Raymond. Paul picks up a flush draw and a straight draw.
This is an action card.
Alex Raymond now leads for 150,000.
Okay, sixes can definitely fold now.
Yeah, Alan Mello down to 2% equity. Gets out of the way.
All options on the table for par.
He calls, heads up to the river. It's the three of hearts, no help for Taylor Paul.
Brutal whiff.
I'm all in.
Alex Raymond shoves.
Now hold on a second, he could call this.
He folds. And Alex Raymond adds 410k to his stack. He extends his chip lead even further. He's now closing in on the 4 million mark.
My name is Alexander Raymond. I play poker as a professional and have been doing so for the past 2.5 years. I studied in administration and business, and I used to work in a bank. I was a financial planner for roughly 3 years. You get taught risk aversion and stuff. As someone that had studied in university, it's really important when you start having a job. If you're gonna quit it, you'll have a hole on your resume. So it's really a big thing to consider to make the jump to be a professional. The limit I was to set myself to quit my job was pretty high. I got pretty lucky in Montreal, back where I live. I cashed a tournament. It was a $200 tournament for 80K. That pretty much boosted my bankroll just so much. For me, that was just the perfect timing to get back in and quit my job. If I won the PCA, it would change my life because the excitement, the adrenaline, also on top of that, it's a big amount of money, so it would be life-changing.
What the heck is financial planning?
I've known Joe for more than a decade, and I can tell you that was not a bit. Up on the main stage, action will be on Jonathan Little.
Big fan of Little.
He's got pocket sevens. Line still 1530. He raises to 60,000. Sergi Reitzak folds. Chris Chick is out. Giuseppe Iadacernia has kings.
Yikes.
Cool.
And he smooth calls, smoothly.
Double yikes.
Folded around to the blinds. Colonius gives up the small. Martirosian in the big. Also Mux, we're heads up to the flop.
Jonathan's a little behind.
And it's a low flop, 6-4 deuce.
That is a bad little flop.
195,000 in the middle. Jonathan continues for 75k. Giuseppe.
250. 250.
Raises big.
Man, he is playing this great given Jonathan's exact holding. Jonathan could think he's up against a 6 or 2 overs a fair percentage of the time. And if that's the case, more chips are going in.
Jonathan Little re-raises, and Iadacernia calls all in.
Got him.
Giuseppe is an 88% favorite to double up here through Jonathan Little. Just has to fade a 7. But the 7 is always coming. Iadacernia now a huge underdog.
That was no little suck out.
Giuseppe could still spike a king on the river. No.
Good game. Unlucky.
Can't believe slow playing kings didn't work out.
Giuseppe Iadacernia cashes for $78,200, a 15th place finish in the PCA main event. Well, Jonathan Little is a 39-year-old American pro, had his first live cash back in 2006. Since then, he's amassed more than $7.5 million in live earnings. Over to the other table where chip leader Alex Raymond has raised with ace-king. Action is on Pedro Neves, who has 8s in the big blind. He calls.
Remember, it's only a flip if we see all 5 cards.
The flop is 9-6-4. Decent for 8-8. And Neves checks.
Where we're going, we don't need roads, but we do need streets.
Raymond continues for 55,000.
C-betting this board would get some hands to fold, but not this one.
Neves calls. The turn card pairs the board. Neves is now an 86% favorite.
8's still pretty unlikely to fold.
95.
Neves is going to lead here.
Wisely determining that 2 overs might just check back.
Raymond calls the 95,000. The river card is a third 6, so Neves now has a full house.
155.
That's 155,000. Alex Raymond just has ace high.
And the range of a player who goes bet on turn and river here is going to be mostly ahead of ace-king, I think.
The chip leader folds.
Everybody loves folding ace. No, they don't. Nobody does.
Pedro Neves playing 2.38 million. With that pot, he will jump up to 4th place on the leaderboard. Alex Raymond stays on top, but as the blinds go up, the gap between the top 3 has closed to just 6 big blinds. At the bottom end of the table, Tolbert, Matakis, Mello, all hovering around the 20 big blind mark. But as we've already seen, one double up, and they will be right back in it. So blinds are now 20-40, and we're back at the main feature table. Action folded to Jonathan Little. He's got ace-9.
Definitely raisable from the cutoff.
Makes it 80,000. Pocket 6s for Sergi Reitzak. He calls. Chris Chick folds the small blinds. Jamil Wakil folds the big blind. Heads up to the flop. Queen, Jack 9. Jonathan Little with bottom pair.
And this is going to hit the ranges of both these players.
Little checks.
Check.
Reitzak checks behind. 3 on the turn. Little now a 95% favorite.
Jonathan is still maybe a little wary about betting into a board that's going to hit the button range quite hard.
He checks a second time. Looks like Reitzak is betting. 80,000 into 260,000.
I think this bet is specifically meant to fold out a 9.
It doesn't. Little calls. The river card is the 4 of hearts. So Little has a lock on this.
Both players do have showdown value.
A third check from Jonathan Little.
$275.
And a chunky bet from Sergi Reitzak.
I don't think this can be a bet for value.
Can Little find the call?
All in.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that.
Nope, getting a little creative with that ace of hearts in his hand.
Suffice to say, the shove gets through.
Bluff? Maybe best hand, I don't know.
Yeah, good point.
Ace high, you know?
Could have been the best hand.
Jonathan's a little coy.
And he's chipped up to 2.79 million. Do you want the opportunity to travel the world to play poker? Well, head over to PokerStars to find out how you can join us at our next live event. Day 5 of the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure main event continues. 14 remain, their sights set on the final table. One player who's been there, seen it, done it is Jonathan Little.
Good morning.
But that was more than a decade ago, and the conditions were somewhat different.
Back in 2007, I played the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure. It was a $10,000 buy-in tournament. It was one of the biggest buy-in tournaments I'd ever played. I was very fortunate to take 5th place. It was a lot of fun. We played outside on a deck overlooking a lagoon. The cards were blowing all over the place. It was very windy. They had to tape down the cards. So now we're inside in the amazing set that's much more comfortable than playing outside.
We're in the Bahamas. I'm gonna win the tournament.
Back when I used to play poker, I'd have sunglasses and a hoodie and headphones. I would not talk to anyone. I was incredibly stoic, and I took things way too seriously.
Good morning.
Now I just try to enjoy myself. I don't get to play poker nearly as much as I used to because I have a wife and kids at home and I have lots of other stuff going on. So whenever I go to play poker, I try to have fun. It would be amazing to make the final table of the PCA again. I don't know if too many people have done that, so that would be an amazing accomplishment, especially given it's a big field tournament with a lot of great players. But I'm gonna try to win. That would be a bigger accomplishment.
Good morning.
It's 3:30 p.m.
Well, 2 final tables would be impressive, but did you know there is a player who's made the final table of the PCA 3 times?
Let me guess. Artur Martirosyan.
Nope. Tony Gregg, runner-up in 2009 and 2016, 6th place finisher in 2012 when John DeBella won.
I actually knew that, but I wanted to let you have your moment.
20K, 40K blinds. A raise from Alex Colonius.
How much are you playing? All right.
Action on Jonathan Little facing this 80K raise.
James, seems like we have a little graphics problem here. We don't know Colonius's cards.
No problem, Joe. In this hand, we're going to sweat with Jonathan Little. We will only see his hole cards.
All right.
Little has defended his big blind with King 10, and he hasn't exactly smashed this flop.
Cool. Well, we missed, and we're folding to a C-bet.
Little is checked. Colonius continues for 80,000.
Oh boy. I think we just walked into a Jonathan Little coaching commercial.
That is a check raise to 200,000.
Out of the big blind without a re-raise pre-flop, we're repping a very thin range, thin and spicy, like a gas station pepperoni stick.
Colonius calls the raise. This hand going to the turn. 620K in the pot already.
And here comes the heartburn.
The 8 of clubs, that pairs the board.
Okay, an 8 was maybe one of the only cards we could get to fold with a double barrel bluff, so I'm all for giving up now. Again.
Little checks. Colonius.
I almost want him to bet so we can fold.
Checks behind. River for free. Queen of diamonds, so double paired board now.
I think this is a tough board to bluff. Even ace high might not fold. I'm all for yes, checking, and hopefully get a free showdown.
Will Colonius check back a second time? No. That's roughly 1/3 pot, 200,000.
Well, it looks like I was right that ace high might not even fold because it's looking like we're thinking of calling with king high.
Wouldn't that be a tad optimistic?
Yes, but when action is folded to Colonius on the button, he's going to be raising almost the entirety of his range. Hands like Jack 10, Jack 9, 5-6, 6-7, 9-10, 10-9. All hands were beating.
Did you say 9-10 and 10-9 there?
Yeah, we're beating both of those.
Jonathan Little playing a time bank card, extending his shot clock.
Now, what I don't love is that we're losing not just any piece of this board, but also to ace high. What do I care? It's not my money.
All right. Jonathan Little makes the hero call.
That's a good hand.
A full house for Colonius. Didn't actually need the queen. Ace high was good enough.
King deuce? Something like that.
Sometimes a hero saves the day, and sometimes it's a sandwich.
That hero call gone wrong results in a 500,000 chip swing in the direction of Alex Colonius.
Everyone's going to see it. They're going to think, what a terrible call. He had full house.
What a terrible call. He had a full house. We need to head over to the secondary table, where short stack Clint Talbot is all in against chip leader Alex Raymond. And Talbot is a 2-to-1 dog.
Hoping it was one of those King 8 hands.
Yeah. Could have been.
I know. I still get equity against it.
Yeah.
When he doesn't need to count your chips, you know you are no count, please.
How much did you start with at the beginning?
Have some fun if we win this one, though.
The flop. King 7-7. Jack's holding.
There's a heart.
Hearts on the turn to have fun.
It's not good when I'm always begging for like a heart draw on the, or a flush draw on the turn.
Ooh.
Oh. Seven. I was gonna say 7 of hearts, 7 of clubs.
Yeah.
That's not the one.
Hearts not good.
That's not the one. That's not the heart.
No more heart draw.
All right.
GG.
Good game.
Hey, take it down. T-par. Good luck, everyone. Nice playing with you guys.
Thanks.
Clint Talbot eliminated in 14th place as Alex Raymond extends his chip lead. Talbot cashing the $78,200.
For whom the bell tolberts.
So that part sees Raymond crack the 4 million chip mark, now playing 108 big blinds. And even with that earlier, let's call it misstep, Jonathan Little remains in the top half of the leaderboard, playing 56 big blinds. Most of the players in the bottom half of the table can't afford to make any mistakes, especially Spanish pro Sergi Reitzak. He's in the danger zone.
Danger zone!
As we catch up with 14th place finisher Clint Talbot.
You know, sometimes it's just it's you gotta win those kind of hands. You know, like coming down the stretch, I lost with aces, kings, and ace king. So you have to be able to win those type of hands to be able to win a tournament of this size. But I did have fun. You know, on to the next one. I'm obviously a little disappointed. Really thought I had a great chance to win, but we got another big tournament starting up Monday, so I'm excited for that and very optimistic.
Yes, the PSPC is just around the corner, with around 400 Platinum Pass winners taking to the felt in a huge 25K tournament.
I'll be there. Well, I mean here.
Back to the PCA main event, back to the main stage. Action's been folded to Artem Artarosian. He folds. Ace-5 of clubs for Jonathan Little.
Man, this hand has had such a good couple of years. It's been asked to host Saturday Night Live.
He raises to 80,000. Chris check on the button. Folds. Jamil Wakil is in the small blind and has King Queen of Spades.
A hand you could 3-bet out of the small blind.
Wakil is the table chip leader, starts this hand with 3.7 million.
Looks like he's thinking about it.
He decides to call. Mitchell Halverson folds the big blind, so heads up to the flop.
I think with a just call in the small blind, Jonathan's going to be confident ace-5 is the best hand most of the time.
Not anymore. Top pair for Wakil, bottom pair for Little. Wakil playing in flow, checks to the pre-flop aggressor.
Not a mandatory c-bet spot. That queen is going to hit Wakil quite a bit.
He checks behind. Jack of clubs on the turn. Little now has a flush draw. Wakil has a straight draw.
Things are getting moist.
140.
Wakil leads with the best hand for 140,000.
Absolutely needs to start going for some value and charging the many, many draws.
Little calls, and we're going to the river. More than $500,000 in the pot. Well, the 8 of spades is no help for Jonathan Little. Wakil has a lock on this.
$50.
Why so small? That's less than 10% of the pot.
It's not much at all to call, but that showdown value from the flop is almost non-existent now with a pair of fives.
Have some of that. He raises to 300,000.
Now this makes a lot of sense. A bet that size in the river is almost never going to be a 10. AKA a straight.
Jamil Wakil with top pair, solid kicker, folds the best hand.
Somebody ate his bluffies today.
A cheeky smirk from Jonathan Little as he gets away with one there. Joe, is there a better feeling in poker than getting a bluff through?
Yeah, tons. That one's good too, though.
Welcome back to the Bahamas and the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure. While some soak up the sun, the players in the main event continue to fight for a $1.5 million top score. The pressure's intense, but Jonathan Little is managing to enjoy himself.
I love playing in the Bahamas. It's a great place. I actually took 4th place in the BSOP tournament here right before the PCA. So I had a good run there, and let's repeat it.
Little hashtag fun fact for you, Joe. Someone else still in the main event also went deep in that BSOP tournament.
Artur Martirosyan.
No, current chip leader Alex Raymond. He finished 28th in that tournament.
Everybody loves Artur Martirosyan.
Back to the main feature table. Blind still 20K, 40K. Action's going to start on Jamil Wakil. He'll be under the gun, first to act.
Jamil Wakil waiting on the deal. Go.
He folds, as does Mitchell Halverson. Alex Colonius is out. Artur Martirosyan passes. Jonathan Little on the button, not going to play this one. So blind v blind.
Respect.
If he ships, this is my favorite part. The peel, the slow peel.
It's a lot of fun.
If he rips, so it's always fun.
Much like fireworks in the U.S. Postal Service, he will not be shipping.
Right sack is the short stack. And he just calls with Queen 3.
Not as much fun.
You're telling me, how am I supposed to get my Roman candles?
Chris Chick in the big blind. As Jack 5 of clubs.
Sergey's probably not limp trapping all that often here. Chick might be thinking of shoving on him.
Decides to check. So we go to the flop. And it's Chick who flops best, pairing his Jack. Action on right sack. He checks. Chick checks behind.
Cheeky.
6 of diamonds on the turn. Chick now a 93% favorite.
Sergey may be tempted to take a stab at this now.
He does. Bets 40,000.
Exactly what Chick was after. Don't think there's much of a point in raising here.
There's the call. River card is a third 9. So Chick now has a full house.
Not good for Sergey. There were some draws that might have called the turn that would have to fold to a river bet, but there are also a lot of full houses that won't.
Right sack checks. I presume Chick will go for a bit of value here. Yeah, we got 200,000 in the pot, and he makes it 165,000.
Oh, there's an argument for calling with queen high here.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually beating all the busted straight draws. But then again, there's also an argument that Godfather 3 is the best Godfather.
Sergi is sat right next to Jonathan Little. He saw what just happened with that king high hero call. We do not need another hero.
Not in this case, no, but man, it feels good to call and be right.
Spoiler alert, he would not be right. He's played a time bank card.
He's beating 7-8, 10-8, queen 10. Nope, he's chopping with queen 10. Not great.
He's seriously thinking about this.
No.
He's called!
Stupid call.
You said it, not me.
Queen high? Queen high, yeah.
Hero calling with queen high and being wrong is actually the second best thing that can happen when you hero call with queen high. It's all about perspective.
Yeah, right. Chris Chick now up to 2.69 million. And after making that queen high hero call gone wrong, Sergi Rightsack will be left with 245,000, just 6 big blinds.
Good news is he can shove queen 3 now.
Well, we're heading over to the secondary table where the action has folded to the short stack, Ian Matakis. He is in the small blind with king jack offsuit.
Another blind on blind and fewer than 20 bigs for Ian. Quite shovable here for some.
He does shove. And Michel Detani wakes up with aces in the big blind.
Get her, Ray.
Matakis at risk and way behind. The flop. Gives Matakis a little bit of hope.
Better than nothing.
He survives if he can hit another king or a jack. 10 on the turn, looking good for Detani. 5 outs for Ian Matakis. That's not one of them.
Good luck, guys. GG, bro. Nice to meet you.
Time to call Ian Mataxi.
He is out in 13th place. Cashes for $93,800.
Gonna be pretty disappointing at this stage, but good news for everybody else.
Michel Detani, an above average stack once again. As we return to the main feature table where Mitchell Halverson is being balanced off.
I final tabled PCA 16 years ago. True story. And we played outside on a balcony and the cards were all blowing away. They had to get tape and you would tape down your cards.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's actually where the term getting sticky comes from.
When was first PCA you come?
16 years ago.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, long time ago.
Sergei Rightsack all in for his last 245K with Jack 10. Chris Chick on the button with Ace 10.
Gulp. This is definitely not a fold against a shove, but you do still have action behind to worry about.
He calls on the button. Wakil in the small blind. Folds. Colonius folds the big blind.
Okay, time to win all in. That's not good. That's not good for me. Good for you.
So far.
So far.
So far.
So far. Somebody's tooting their own horn. Domination situation.
The flop. Queen 10 deuce. 3 outs for Sergi Rightsack. Chris Chick, an 84% favorite. Ooh, Rightsack picks up a ton of equity on the turn.
Make it fun at least.
Yeah, not bad.
Chris Chick doesn't think it's fun. Rycek now has 11 outs. But he bricks the river.
GG, guys.
Good luck, man. Good luck on the other stuff.
Sergei Rycek, 12th place finisher in the PCA 2023 main event. KO'd by Chris Chick. Cashing for $93,800. Eliminated on the last hand of the level. So as the players prepare to go on break, let's look at the standings. Well, it's been a fantastic day so far for Alex Raymond, who sits on top with 3.6 million. Chris Chick moves up to second after eliminating Rycek. Michel Datani's managed to somewhat weather the storm, finishing the level with 2.5 million. And it's still anyone's game as we look at the bottom end of the table. No real short stacks, with the shortest stack belonging to Taylor Poor, playing 20 big blinds. Well, our 12th place finisher, Sergei Rycek, is down on the floor.
It's very difficult to get into the final table. It's a very tough tournament. All the best players in the world are here, so I'm fortunate that I made to the final 16, but I tried to bluff a hand, I tried to bluff catch another one. The other days, every time I tried to bluff catch, it went good. Every time I tried to bluff, it went good. Today was all the other way around. Happens.
Next time, players battle it out for a spot at the final table.
All in. Cool. Big hand.
But a little luck might be needed.
Everyone loves a chop pot, right?
Just to see you know everyone except everyone but the player all in.
Exactly.